Hey, this is Notser, and this is the 0.5.9 patch preview. Now, I can't share the stats, I can't share gameplay, but I can share the model in-game, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. This is the Tier 3 German Battleship, Nassau. It reminds me of the Kawachi, the Tier 3 Japanese battleship. It also has a unique placement for secondaries. The stern of the ship has 4 facing rear. Next up, we have the Tier 4 German Battleship, Kaiser. Now, that belt armor is impressive. Look how much it extends away from the deck. I'm getting strong Congo vibes. Now, you might have noticed that the 2 middle turrets are offset. I don't know if you'll be able to use them on either side, but it's pretty impressive, and the rigging looks great. Next up, we have the Tier 5 German Battleship, König. You heard that right. We have another König in the ranks, so we need to make sure we use the correct terminology. And she looks like a more refined version of the Tier 4. All the gun turrets are center aligned. It does speak to a Congo again. It has the secondaries that are sort of on a second deck. Maybe a Fuso as well. Next up, we have the Tier 6 German Battleship, Bayern. The ship drops one of the gun turrets. It now only has 4. It has 3 different decks. It has one for the stern, one for the bow, and one for the center. Very interesting. Also, notice the bow. It's sort of a throwback. It's that forward-facing bow that is notorious for the early 1900s. It's probably slow. That's my guess. Next up, we have the Tier 7 German Battleship, Gneisenau. And to my ignorant American eyes, it looks like a thinner Bismarck. It has the same turret design as the Bismarck and the Tirpitz. It also has an Atlantic bow. Thank you. So it should be faster in the water. You would think. The secondaries are impressive, and it's also the basis for the Tier 7 premium ship. Next up, we have the Tier 8 German Battleship, Bismarck. Probably the most famous German ship. I think it's pretty fair to say. If you haven't seen Sinking the Bismarck, I believe, and the James Cameron special, he goes to the bottom of the ocean with the team, and she's there. You can see, well, he's there, okay? The swastika is there, even to this day. It's interesting. I would think that would make it easier to bomb. Next up, we have the Tier 9 German Battleship, Friedrich der Großen. This battleship looks like a larger version of the Bismarck. Again, the same design cues. It's got 4 gun turrets, a lot of secondaries, and Atlantic bow. It's just a little bit wider, a little bit longer, and it's a little bit more empty. It doesn't have quite as much stuff stacked on top of it. Next up, we have the Tier 10 German Battleship, Großer Kurfürst. Immediately, it feels much bigger than the previous battleships for the Germans. It also has 3 guns per turret. The turrets themselves are wider. It also feels like the same sort of design principles are going into this ship. The secondaries and AA are not quite as impressive as the Yamato's layout, but how can you beat that? It just is just wall-to-wall guns for protection. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the German battleships. I don't know the stats. I can't share you gameplay, but I can share assault mode in the Nicholas on the map straight. Now I want to talk about 0.5.9, and there were a couple changes that were spotted that were not in the patch notes. Now, are they going to end up in the full release? Who knows, but I'm just going to talk about it. Carriers are getting preferential matchmaking. Hallelujah. We no longer have to deal with that Iowa in our Tier 7. It was laughable how easy it was for the Iowa to defend itself and everyone around it. There are a lot of Tier 9s that are very strong against Tier 7 aircraft. So Tier 7 aircraft carriers and below can only see 1 tier higher, which is welcome. Is it fixing all the issues? Absolutely not. But it was such a hilarious issue that I can't believe they even allowed it. So that's great. Low tier cruisers are getting a similar treatment. They probably felt like, you know what, these World War I cannot really compete with World War II, and I would agree. It's a combination of modules, turret setups, and commander skills where you just get outclassed quickly. So I'm sure all the lobies are going to appreciate that, and it should be a little bit more balanced, a little bit more fun. Wargaming adjusted the armor profile for a couple ships. You can see the list at the subreddit. I also think it's posted in the forums. I just assume that. Can't confirm. but it's probably posted there. They also have adjusted Bastion slightly. They made the guns more accurate and the reload longer on the forts. That is the only changes I've seen for Bastion so far. Now let's get back to this game. Buckmaster is my primary target, and we want to take that Buckmaster down. I'm sitting in smoke. I've popped it, of course, and you might catch sight of the smoke ring. You enable it in settings and controls, and it's named something like smoke rings. I mean, it's real obvious. It's much cleaner design than the beta mod that they put out. It's not dotted lines anymore, and it doesn't overlap. They've basically made it to where the smoke ring will encompass the smoke. If you spread the smoke out, it will sort of morph and combine into one outline for the smoke itself. It looks fantastic. It's a perfect compromise for those who said, it's going to make the game look ugly if I turn it on. It looks pretty clean. It looks like it belongs. So I'm really happy with the implementation. And I will be using it, because it is an advantage. Or it's a disadvantage for not using it. Now, Buckmaster is dead, and we're going after Pratt. Other changes, the French battleship, Dunkirk, and probably obliterated that, but we're trying to get it in the French version. It's been added to the game files, and I'm really excited to see her whenever, I'm sure it's a her, whenever we see it in game. It was not available for me to do the turntable, otherwise I would. And it has red, white, and blue ribbons or banners over the turrets. It looks great. And being an American, I can say without a doubt, it's probably my favorite color combination. Biased? You betcha. I'm an American. I love those colors for my country, and I also love those colors because France is our oldest ally. And she deserves to have her Navy shown off as well. Of course, I want the Royal Navy. Come on. We are getting there. Cruisers soon. TM. Now, as assault mode goes, it's 8 versus 16, I believe. I didn't do the count. I'm sure someone's watching and says, I know exactly how much. Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. The AI is not quite as skilled as a normal player. If they were as skilled as a normal player, 8 versus 16 would have absolutely no chance. But this should make it a little bit more fun for anyone who plays against AI. I think that's a good change. They also took out the situation awareness skill from the commander tree. It's completely void. They haven't replaced that location with anything so far. And it's now by default on every commander. So you can't play the game without situation awareness always being on. It's a great change. Wargaming World of Warships dev team is fantastic. They really are. My Wargaming reps really appreciate all the support that you provide. It really means a lot. Just keep enjoying the game. In fact, tell me what you thought of the turntable that I did at the beginning. It's the first time I've done it. If I could, I would share the stats, I would share gameplay. I just can't. Hopefully you understand, but they do look great, don't they? I have done a little bit of work on basically the rigging. The rigging is just so thin, it's really hard for the pixels to come through without AA, and they're probably shying away from it because it's probably inefficient right now. Maybe at some point they will have normal AA placed in the game, but for now, you sort of have FXAA, and all that does is smear the screen. It's not a real solution. I have done some editing based on some subreddit stuff, plus a forum post or two, and it does look better on my screen. You will definitely be able to tell with the German Battleships, if you can see it at all. YouTube might compress it too much and you can't see the rigging. But in my video recording, I definitely see the rigging. Hopefully it holds up. Now, we are continuing towards the enemy. I don't know if the AI fully understands what they're doing. The other spawn didn't really come up and join their team. They're sort of stuck in the center. Now, here's an example of two smoke rings and how they interact with each other. You notice where the smoke rings would overlap, they just stop. That's the outline of smoke. In the current version, the sort of beta version, It's really ugly, it's really wide, it's really bulky. This is much more clean. It doesn't look out of place, it doesn't look, well, temporary. And look at all these AI, they're just sailing through all of the dead husks of their comrades. And I'm trying to take out Isokaze, but he's just at an angle where I can't really deal with it. Plus, there's a multitude of enemy ships, and I'm going to make use of my torpedoes. Now, I would not normally be this bold with player-controlled ships, but it's AI, who cares, right? You gotta have as many kills as possible. That's the only thing that matters. And this Isokaze, he's right in front of friendlies. We lose our steering. I do have last stand, and I really want to kill the Isokaze. My torpedoes are still going towards the Wyoming, and we get 2 on the target. We incapacitate whatever, I believe it was an actual incapacitation on the Isokaze, and because I'm in an early tier American destroyer, I have torpedoes on both sides. So I'm going to look to send one more set towards the Wyoming. I don't think a single set is enough, and I lead him a little bit. The expectation, maybe he's gaining some speed. Whatever speed there might be in a Wyoming. We also have a New Mexico. It's not an upgraded New Mexico, though. It's probably an A-hull. In fact, it's Howard. It's definitely an A-hull. Now, if your name is Howard, it's just because Howard is an AI, okay? I really support every single Howard that might be interested in my content. But Danny, you have to go. We take out Danny. And here comes Howard. He's firing on my position. Angle, angle, angle. Our steering is knocked out again. So I use damage control again, but my smoke is about to come up. And I would like to use smoke, but I would also like to kill him. Dang it. The game already ended. And that's what you end up seeing in Assault. There's so many ships that you will kill them before you ever capture a base. And we're top on the leaderboard because we're awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed all this 0.5.9 content. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.